Thank you for tuning in to Vince by Submission. I want to apologize real quick because I'm a week behind on releasing this video. Last weekend with 4th of July happening, I was doing a lot of stuff with the family. I was really busy. Then the work week hit and I was just really busy with work. So I didn't get a chance to produce and release this video when I would have liked to, but I want to make sure that I get my predictions out there before the event happens so we could track and see how well I do on my predictions. So even though I'm a week behind, I'm still going to go ahead and put it out this morning. We're going to go over my predictions for UFC 329 being headlined by Max Holloway and the returning Conor McGregor. I did a video a while back going over whether we think this match might actually happen or not, because there's actually a lot of doubt if Conor McGregor was even going to make the match, but we're just hours away. We haven't heard anything different. So looks like the fight's going to happen. So UFC 329, I'm going to be talking about every single fight on the main card only. I might mention a few things on some of the prelim fights, but we're going to be focusing on the main card. I'm going to be going over each fight, who I think is going to win and why I think they're going to win. And it's going to be a fun time. So UFC 329 is going to get kicked off with the match between Bobby Green and Terrence McKinney. Yes, I know he goes by King Green now, but I've been calling him Bobby Green for so long that it just feels weird to call him anything other than Bobby Green. And he's going against Terrence McKinney. Whenever I look at their recent body of work on how much they've won and how much they've lost, they're pretty comparable to each other in that regard. When I think of their fighting styles, Bobby Green, I think, has better striking. He likes to walk people down and he has like really fast reflexes and he knows how to hit from range. And then when it comes to clinch work, I think Bobby Green is a little bit underrated, but also Terrence McKinney shows that he's pretty solid in his own right when it comes to grappling. So I think this fight is not going to be too grapple heavy. Maybe Terrence McKinney tries to turn into a grappling match, but I think Bobby Green will be able to keep it standing. And I think he's going to walk Terrence McKinney down and win by TKO. So my prediction is Bobby Green is going to win by TKO in the, let's say, second round. Either way, I got Bobby Green winning this fight. Moving on to the flyweight division, we have Brandon Royval versus Lonnie Kavanaugh. And anytime I look at Lonnie Kavanaugh's record, I remember he was knocked out by Charles Johnson, and that just makes me think that he's really not all that good if you're going to lose to someone like Charles Johnson. But then I look at the people he's beaten, and he beats some of the absolute best people in the division. And so he's a tricky one to really put my predictions on. But when I look at Brandon Royval's recent record, as much as I like the guy, and I'm a huge Brandon Royval fan, it's kind of clear that he's past his prime. He's starting to fall down in the rankings, and I think Lonnie Kavanaugh is rising his way up the rankings and is looking at being a future title contender. And I just can't say the same for Royval. So I think that right now it's Lonnie Kavanaugh's time, and it's not Brandon Royval's time. I think maybe that Charles Johnson lost just like a one-off, he got caught kind of thing, and maybe he wins in a rematch. But I think Lonnie Kavanaugh is going to win this fight against Brandon Royval. How he's going to win is tough to say. Part of me says that Royval is pretty solid. He's pretty durable. He doesn't get knocked out easy, so maybe Kavanaugh wins by decision. But Royval did get caught recently by Manel Kape. So who knows? This fight could play out, I could see, in a number of different ways. But regardless of which way it plays out, I have Lonnie Kavanaugh winning this fight. Now, this fight right here has me so excited. So this is actually a rematch. Corey Sandhagen versus Mario Batista. They fought, I don't remember how many years ago it was, but they did fight a handful of years ago, and Corey Sandhagen won that fight. One of those 3 losses you see on Mario Batista's record is from Sandhagen, but it's been a while since those two have fought, and they've both evolved a whole lot as mixed martial artists since then, so I don't think it's going to be the exact same fight that we saw before. And if you look at how much Sandhagen has improved since that fight, and he has improved, I think Mario Batista has improved by a larger margin, where I think that they're probably pretty close to each other when it comes to their skill levels currently. At least I believe that is the case. I think this could be a very fun fight, and I could see there being a mix of striking and grappling because they're both very well rounded. They both have good striking and good grappling. I think Mario Batista might be slightly better in the grappling department. Corey Sandhagen slightly better in the striking department. But I think this can be a very fun fight. Now, which way do I think this fight is going to play out? This one is almost a coin flip for me. But when I look at the recent fights they've had against some of the people in the top of the division, I think Corey Sandhagen's looked a little bit better than Mario Batista has. And again, just a little bit better. It's not a huge margin. So I think that I'm giving the edge to Corey Sandhagen. So my official prediction is going to be Corey Sandhagen. But I would be surprised if I'm wrong on this one because Mar Batista has improved so much since then. He's shown to have a very well-rounded skill set. And I could see him being a problem anywhere, whether it's on the feet or on the mat. So it could be a very close fight. It could be a very fun fight. I expect this to be one of the best fights that we're going to see tonight. But my prediction is still going to be Sandhagen. And then we move on up to the co-main event. As excited as I was for the previous match, this one, I think this could be fight of the night. Even whenever you look at the main event, I know a lot of people are excited for it. If you're just talking about how exciting the fight's going to be, how much these two poured on each other, I think this fight could be fight of the night. I could be wrong, but when you look at a Paddy Pimblett fight, they're always really fun. And when you look at a Benoit Saint-Denis fight, they're always really, really fun. And I think these two are so close to each other on their skill levels. Their fighting styles are similar but different. Like they both have pretty competent but not amazing striking. They both have really good groundwork, but there's some key differences there. Paddy Pimblett is more of a clean fighter. And when I say a clean fighter, I mean his striking is a little more crisp. He's not like, some world renowned crisp striker like Anderson Silva or anything like that. But when he does throw his strikes, he tends to try to land in a way that a technical striker would try to land. Whereas Benoit Saint-Denis is more of like an ugly brawler. He wants to overwhelm you with power and come at you and blitz very strong in the early parts of the match and overwhelm you early on. So it's a little bit different there. But I think when it comes to how good they are in striking, when you're looking at just from that standpoint, they're actually pretty close to each other. And then you look at the grappling department, they both have very good jiu-jitsu. Which one's a little bit better? And it's almost the same thing that I just said about the striking, where Paddy Pimblett is more of a clean, slick jiu-jitsu guy. When he gets you down, he's going to throw up some, fancy slick submission out of nowhere. Whereas Benoit Saint-Denis likes to smother you and crush you and make it ugly. So it's a brawler style of grappling, but it's still very effective at what he does. Now, which one is better? I think that when it comes to being on the feet, it's tough to say. I think Benoit Saint-Denis could give Paddy Pimblett trouble early on. I think he could blitz him and come at him really hard and maybe hurt Paddy Pimblett. But as we've seen before, Scousers don't get knocked out. I think Paddy Pimblett will be able to weather the storm and he won't get knocked out by Benoit Saint-Denis. And then maybe he loses the first round if it's a striking affair. He might lose the first round just kind of dealing with the early onslaught that Benoit Saint-Denis is going to put on him. And then he's going to come back with clean precision from the second round on and maybe win. He might catch him and knock him out. We've seen Benoit Saint-Denis knocked out before. Or it could be that he just outstrikes him to a decision. If it goes down to the ground, I think Paddy Pimblett's grappling is good enough where he can get out of bad spots. So I don't think he has to worry so much about Benoit Saint-Denis' ground game. And if Paddy Pimblett gets Benoit Saint-Denis in a bad position, that's actually a big difference on their skill levels there, because that's what we saw in the match between Benoit Saint-Denis and Renato Moicano. You put Benoit Saint-Denis on his back, he doesn't really have a lot of answers. He is a good offensive grappler, but his defensive grappling is not all that. If Paddy Pimblett could put him in a bad spot, put him on his back, get into side control or mount or something like that and start raining down ground and pound, I don't think Benoit Saint-Denis is going to be able to get up from that. So if it ends up being a grappling match, I think Paddy Pimblett has the advantage there, but only by a little bit. I still acknowledge that Benoit Saint-Denis is still very dangerous and he could catch Paddy. He maybe can knock him out. He can be the first person to knock out this, iron chin Scouser in Paddy Pimblett. Maybe he is able to take him down and overwhelm him with offensive grappling and just wear Paddy Pimblett down. It could happen. This fight is really a coin flip. I think of all the fights on this event, I think this one's the one that I'm the most torn on. But when I look at the striking and the grappling in both categories, I give Paddy Pimblett just a slight advantage because of his clean technical approach to the fights and his iron jaw and just his tenacity. I think Benoit Saint-Denis, as aggressive as he is, I think Paddy Pimblett's too durable and too technically sound. I could see this going to decision where maybe Benoit Saint-Denis wins the first round, but Paddy Pimblett either finishes late or it goes to a decision where it's 29-28 Paddy Pimblett. So that's my official prediction. Paddy Pimblett is going to beat Benoit Saint-Denis. And now the main event that everybody's talking about, the returning Conor McGregor going against Max Holloway. And this is a very interesting fight because, I've been talking about this fight with a lot of different friends of mine and discussing the different pros and cons that each fighter has when it comes to this fight and the advantages that Conor has, the advantages that Max has, and the different ways that it could play out. And it's very interesting because Conor McGregor hasn't fought in 5 years. So we're going to have to really consider and think about what is the big layoff going to do? Because in the meantime, Max has been very active and he's, racked up a whole bunch of accolades, such as, he's won titles. He has got the record by a very large margin, by the way, got the record for the most significant strikes landed of any UFC fighter in history. And it's not even close. Like second place, whoever it is, I can't remember off the top of my head, is only close to like half what Max has. It's ridiculous. Conor McGregor not being as active, Max being more active and developing a skill set where he's a very, very awesome technical striker. I could see Max Holloway just having better striking going against someone who has a lot of ring rust and can win in a technical striking affair. But this fight being at 170, I think gives Conor McGregor a lot of advantages because, these two have fought at 145 and 155. And Max is someone who naturally belongs at 145 and 155. I don't think he belongs at 170. Conor has fought at 145 and 155, but he has bulked up so much. He has fought at 170 before, and he's bulked up so much in his off time that now he looks like he belongs at 170. So whenever I think of the weight class being 170, I think that in itself gives an advantage to Conor McGregor. If Conor McGregor had stayed a lot leaner and they fought at 155, I think this would be a much easier match to call. But being 170, Conor McGregor, I think, does have a big advantage here. Max Holloway doesn't look like a true welterweight. He looks like a lightweight that just didn't cut as much weight, which is essentially what it was. So size is not the determining factor in fights like this, but it is a factor. And I think the speed and the power will be in Conor's favor. But the technical striking skills that Max has and the activity, the lack of ring rust that Conor's going to have, I think also gives him the advantage. So they have advantages over each other. Which advantage do I think is going to come into play more? And in that sense, I think Max Holloway. I think Max Holloway with the activity, I think he's just shown that he could just keep getting better and better and better. He fought Justin Gaethje and knocked him out, and Justin Gaethje is now the current lightweight champion. He was able to beat Dustin Poirier on Dustin Poirier's retirement match, and Dustin Poirier was already 2-0 over him going into that fight. So you can see that Max Holloway has made some huge improvements throughout the years. And even whenever he fought Ilia Topuria, if you go back and watch that match, yes, Topuria did knock Max Holloway out, but Max Holloway was taking it to Ilia those first 2 rounds. He didn't get knocked out to the 3rd round, and he was outstriking Ilia in both of those rounds. I think that Max Holloway is just a way more technical striker. I think if he doesn't get in a brawl with Conor McGregor, doesn't allow him to, build his momentum and start pouring it on and making it look ugly, if he just fights, sticks and moves and tries to stay smart and clean with it, I think Max Holloway could pull this off. Now, I do have to acknowledge Max Holloway sometimes can struggle against southpaws, and Conor McGregor is a southpaw. But I still think with all the time off, I think that Conor McGregor just won't have the same level of technique that he's going to have behind his strikes as Max Holloway does. And I think Max Holloway is going to overwhelm him with activity, with the experience gained from the activity he's had over the last 5 years that Conor McGregor just doesn't have. So my official prediction here is Max Holloway is going to win. Is it going to be by knockout or is it going to be by decision? It is 5 rounds. That's a good thing to think about there. I think Conor McGregor is going to get knocked out or TKO'd in the, let's say, 4th round. And I'm just spitballing a guess there. Regardless if it's by decision or knockout, either way, my prediction is Max Holloway. Now, before we go, I do want to go over a few of these prelim fights here. Nikita Krylov versus Robert Whitaker, I think is going to be a really fun fight. Who's going to win? I don't know. Honestly, it could go either way. This is a fight that a lot of people are talking about. So you have Gable Steveson going against Elisha Ellison in a fight that allegedly is the biggest point spread in UFC history when it comes to betting odds. When it comes to, the underdog versus a betting favorite. Allegedly, this is the biggest underdog fight there is. Not just on this card, but of all time. I don't know if that's exactly true, but it definitely is for this event. I mean, when you look through here, you're looking at ones and twos, 130, 110, 140. This is actually a pretty big one. You got a 3-4 to 1 underdog, 2 to 1 here. This one, these numbers are just ridiculous here. Gable Steveson actually doesn't have a very long MMA career. He's only had a few fights, but he does have a very awesome looking college wrestling resume. And a lot of people are looking at that and saying that this guy's just going to overwhelm the heavyweight division with his wrestling and just smother everybody, win by ground and pound or submission or whatever. And maybe it's going to happen. We will see. This is his UFC debut. And I think that a lot of people are going to be excited to see this fight, to see if the height matches up to what he's able to bring to the table. So this is going to be fun to watch. We're going to keep our eyes on this one. Another one that I'm interested in, let's see here. Farid Basharat versus John Garza. Now, this fight was supposed to be Farid Basharat versus Ethan Ewing. Ethan Ewing is kind of made a name for himself in beating every undefeated fighter they put in front of him. He hasn't actually lost in the UFC since he's joined. He had a few losses early in his career, but since joining the UFC, they've done nothing but put him against undefeated fighters and keeps beating all of them. He was supposed to be facing Farid Basharat, another undefeated fighter, but Ethan Ewing had to pull out because of injury. So they got John Garza in last minute, 6-1. So it's a pretty good record in his own right. I hope Farid Basharat wins this fight so we could go ahead and rebook Ethan Ewing, because I want to see it. I want to see Ethan Ewing's destiny come to fruition and destroying all of the undefeated fighters in his division. And to my knowledge, Farid Basharat is the last undefeated fighter in the bantamweight rankings. So I hope Basharat wins this fight. And it looks like, according to the betting odds, he is, I think, the second highest betting favorite next to Gable Steveson. Yeah, that's pretty much it of the undercard fights I want to talk about. But it's going to be really fun. It's going to be kicking off in a few hours. This main card is so good. Starting with the green fight, all 5 of these fights. I know that we're coming off of the UFC on the White House fight, Freedom 250, and a lot of people are talking about that being like the greatest event ever. And a lot of people were hyping it up because of the location and because of the event itself and all that kind of stuff, which is, all fine and everything. But if you strip away the location of the event and just look at it from a fight card perspective, Freedom 250 was a good card. It really was. But I think this card's better. I think UFC 329, they gave us some solid fights here. I mean, especially these last 3. These 3 amazing. These 2, I think, are going to be great fights. These last 3 are just incredible. The only thing this event is missing is an actual title fight. But the fight's this good, I don't even care about a title fight. We'll get one of those next time. So anyway, that is my breakdown of UFC 329. Make sure you tune in and watch the fights, and then we'll go back and see. We'll talk about, after the event happens, how my predictions came out, who I got right, who I got wrong. It'll be a fun time. So thank you for tuning in to Vince by Submission. We'll see you all next time.